Alright, hoi, what's up guys, and welcome to my last video of 2022. I will make a review of the year and a preview of next year, or a preview of my goal of next year. I already made a video last year about my first year of YouTube, so 2021, my goals of 2022 and my experiences that I've learned pursuing YouTube and all that stuff. So if you want to check it out, here's the link to it. And there I've had 10 goals for this year, and now I want to review those goals and how it turned out. But before I will do that, I want to share you my 5 main lessons of this year, because I also shared my 3 main lessons last year. These were seeking discomfort, vulnerability, and ego is your enemy. These are all things I still struggle with, or I still try to grow, but I think these are things that you have to remind yourself daily, because it is natural to fall back to your old behaviors. But these were the lessons of last year, and here the lessons I've learned this year. And number 1 is acceptance. So I've really realized this year that a lot of things aren't in our hands. I already realized that in the Corona period, but this year even more, especially because I've read some verses of the Bible, and there was also written, God give me strength to differentiate the things that are within my control and those that are without my control. So it's like the Stoic principle says, always have to remember the things that are external aren't in your control and the things internal are. So you always focus on the internal, and then the external will come, or it will turn out how it should turn out, how God's will is, or the universe will is. And that leads me to the second lesson I've learned, that is God is real. Whatever you believe in one God, in a few gods, in the universe, in a higher consciousness, but there is something we can't fully describe how it works, and we probably never will know if it exists, but you only can feel it. And this year there were a lot of instances where I felt it, God's presence, where I was pretty lonely and I didn't know how to proceed, and I felt this calming presence and this voice in my head that always knew the next steps that my mind couldn't figure out by themselves or by itself. So I truly believe there is a force that's guiding us, a force where our own little egos can't do anything, and we have to lead that way. And we listen to that voice, and if we follow that voice, we're so much more calm and peaceful, and it's amazing. And I really discovered this year even more how beautiful inner peace is. And if you're connected to God, then I think you've really found your inner peace. Then the external world can do whatever it wants. You are still and calm within your mind. Because you know whatever comes, God knows the way. God knows what's best for you. And even if it's harsh to say, but even if your life will end, then God had a plan for it. So I really believe in that. It's sometimes hard to fully understand things, why these people need to suffer that, or why these people died because of that, but I truly believe there's always a higher plan or a higher purpose behind it. That's just what I believe, and I think the word makes the most sense with it. So it makes even more sense if you believe in something than not. That's fact. The third lesson is judgment, and that's something I'm struggling with, or something I realized with the topic of Andrew Tate, because I've judged him because of the small sequences I saw of him that mainly the media showed us, and the few controversial topics that he spoke of. But until I fully watched longer videos of him, I began to understand his message, and I truly begin to think he's a force for good in terms of giving masculinity a voice and showing that masculinity isn't bad as it always is projected in today's society. It's like the feminine, we need it, and it's part of the world. I think men don't want to live without women, and women don't want to live without men. Even though feminists don't want to hear that, I truly believe that's how the world functions, and there's a reason why there's the feminine and the masculine. Then the fourth lesson I've learned this year is, again, something I've learned last year pretty strongly, but this year even more, is relationships. And I've realized that relationships are everything, and I always feel good when I have friends that I can share everything with, people that understand me, and people where I can can be truly me. And I've got to know a lot of new people this year, and I had some pretty good moments with them, and really can say I made some new friends, and that's beautiful because it's nice to have a circle, but it's even better if you bring new people in. And I always like to have a lot of friends, so I realize I need people around me because lonely it's not as enjoyable. And the last main lesson I've learned this year is that the cure to suffering is in the suffering. So life is suffering, that's the first noble truth of Buddhism, but I think that's a pretty cold statement, and I like the antidote or the paradox of Rumi, and the quote goes like this: the cure of pain is in the pain. And I believe we need to go through that struggle as human beings in order to find happiness, because without the highs and lows we don't have the highs, of course. That's the thing with depressed people, they always live like that. They have no highs and lows, they are constantly like that, and I think that's the thing that makes you depressed, if you don't have those highs and lows. So everyone who goes through a bad phase needs to remember, and I need to remember that myself, that it's always a part of the bigger picture. So if you have a bad phase, there always comes another high, then comes another low, then another high. You need to have those phases, otherwise life isn't enjoyable. And I realized that this year I had a pretty low. Before the Morocco videos, for example, I questioned myself, I wanted to quit, or I thought about quitting YouTube, but then it spiked and the views got up, and then I had a really high throughout the summer, and then another low in fall and winter, but it's always a preparation, because I believe I needed that low in order to start my MMA pursuit, but more on that later. But these are the 5 main lessons I've learned this year, and now I want to come to a review of the 10 goals I've set last year and how they turned out. And I want to make that a little bit quicker, because otherwise the video will never end. I started with my internal goals, so I've written down 5 internal goals and 5 external goals, and the first one was balance. And I think I was pretty good in that regard. I tried to keep my most important areas in balance, but I also realized that everything needs a season. So you have a season where this area is more important than the other area, and so and so. And I think that's pretty normal, like nature. You have the seasons where it's cold and it's snowy, and then the seasons where it's warm and everything really enjoyable. So you need that phases in your life so much as with balance. For example, I know next year I need to go out of that balance because I need to have an extreme focus on that MMA thing. So I probably won't go as deep with relationships, for example, or as deep with finances or stuff like that, because I have my focus on that MMA thing. And if you want to be successful in something, you need to have that focus on that one thing. You can't go like this, that thing is important than that thing. So I need to be focused on that. So balance is important, but remember, there's always a season to everything. Then the second goal that I've set for myself was being the joy, and I think I had a very good year in that regard. So I always tried to be the joy, even though I felt bad in the inside. I always tried to make myself better by making other people better. So by being the joy, basically. So by having a laugh, by not caring as much about life and don't take it so seriously. And I think I really was not so bad in that. I often said, man, it's life, I could die at every moment, why I take that so seriously? And then everything is not so important anymore. The people that upset you, you don't care much, or you understand them better. And I really try that next year even too, but I think most of the time I really try to do that. My next internal area was relationships, and as I said before, I really think I had a good year in that too. I made a lot of new friends, new acquaintances, and really people that lift me up. I always try to help also the people that needed help, or that needed an ear that hears them, or that needed someone to talk. I tried that too. Something I didn't succeed in was the relationship theme of having a girlfriend, but that's also okay, because I fully surrendered to that. And since I fully surrendered to that and accept that maybe a relationship isn't for me, maybe I'm too weird, or I'm too, I don't know, for a relationship, then that's okay. I'm happy nevertheless. I really have to say that. I love my life, even though that's something I sometimes in the future would like to have, but it's also okay if it's not going to happen. So since I fully surrendered to that, it's no problem anymore. And then the next goal was seeking help. I think that's something I still need to work on that, because sometimes my ego is too big to ask someone for help. If I notice that I'm not so good in that, and I also have a weakness because I sometimes believe too much that I figure things out by myself, and that's sometimes I need to learn to ask for help, because I'm a fool basically. Everything I have is because of God. Even that with YouTube, I wouldn't have done it without God. So I really need to humble myself in that regard and need to ask more for help. And the last internal goal was being present. That's also an area. I do every day a 10-minute meditation. That really helps. But I noticed I went out a lot, and because of that I had always a few drinks of alcohol, bad sleep after that night, and there I realized it's nearly impossible to be present if you drank the day before. That's also a sacrifice I want to make next year, because I realize how much it held me back and how much I only did it because I wanted to find the right girl, or I wanted to improve my game. I think I improved my game in that regard, so speaking to girls, being more confident and that stuff. But now I think that was another chapter. I needed to go through that chapter, but now it's a new chapter and I want to leave that behind. I had enough from the nights going out, drinking and that stuff. It's okay if I have to celebrate something, I will still do it in the future. But now my main focus is really on that MMA thing, and that drives me so much that I say I'm ready to sacrifice that too. So I'm pretty much ready to sacrifice everything. I even realized the boxing ears. So you get them if someone punches you on the ear so strongly or grabs you so strongly that it gets injured, and then you have that pretty strange shape. I can show you a picture of that. And I even said there too, okay, it's okay if my ears will get that shape, and I'm also okay if I have some concussions because of MMA or injuries and that stuff, because I'm fully ready to commit to that. And I will sacrifice pretty much everything. That's something I'm really grateful for, that I don't have much to lose. Because if you don't have much to lose, you're in a powerful position. And as I did with YouTube, I also said there, if everybody will leave me, I'm okay. Because that's something I need to do for my community, for future generation, and for God, then I will sacrifice it. That I have the same feeling with MMA. I'm ready to sacrifice everything, and I'm privileged in a position to do that. So I don't have a kid, I don't have a girlfriend, as I said, no family except my parents. So that's always a good position if you want to start something new. That's even good if you're still young. Okay, then to the external goals, and that's YouTube, of course. And there I reached my goal of 1,000 subscribers. That's something I'm pretty happy about, because I struggled to get to that 1,000. But since Morocco it was easy, so now I have 2,200. And in hindsight I probably should have focused even higher, because in hindsight it was a attainable goal, but I could have shot higher. Maybe I would came even higher, but who knows. But I always believe that I'm exactly where I should be, so there's a reason behind that. And the next goal I've set for myself are 10,000 goals by the end of the year, and I really hope with my MMA pursuit I can do that, because I think MMA is actually in a uptrend, and I still don't know why, for example, boxing is more popular. Because for me boxing is pretty annoying to watch compared to MMA, because in MMA you have everything and boxing you only have with the striking and hands, and it's annoying if they always get together and then the referee comes, and in MMA they can basically do whatever they want. So I still believe MMA will, or I hope it will, become the #1 combat sport by viewers, but who knows. I hope that, and it would make more sense to me, but I don't know. I'm not a boxing fan, maybe boxers can give me better reasons why boxing is more popular. And another sub-goal of that YouTube pursuit is my second channel, Mea Südtirol. That's basically for my South Tyrolean people, because I want to show them how to transform yourself, how to become a new you and a new identity. And I want to do that by showing them how I will cut weight and indulging from bad habits into good ones, and how you transform yourself mentally and physically. That's something I want to do for my community, and I hope it helps someone. So I'm not so interested in how many people will watch that. I just hope that someone can take anything from that. On to the 7th goal, and that's flow state. And that's also something I struggled when I was going out more, and I'm better if I go out less and if I eat less. So I think flow state can be influenced by better habits, of course. I realized if you eat a lot of carbs, it's hard to be in the flow state. It's also hard if you have not a lot of sleep, if you drink alcohol, for example. But I think that's something I can attain because the lifestyle I want to live next year forces me to be in a flow state. So I hope I can do that. And I also hope my editing gets better when I also indulge in better physical habits. So if my endurance or my physical abilities improve, I hope my concentration will improve too. Okay, then on to fitness. That's something I would say maybe I failed this year, but I can't say that fully because I started tennis, I started MMA, I discovered the inner fighter in me that I've lost the last few years. That's something worth, but otherwise fitness, yeah, I don't know, maybe I was a little bit stagnant in that regard, but that was also because I haven't had a goal in mind. YouTube was always my priority number one, and I realized about myself I only progress in things if it's my priority number one, and that wasn't fitness anymore. I lost a little bit the touch because I realized how toxic the bodybuilding scene and also the fitness scene can be, and it disgusted me sometimes because I always thought fitness and bodybuilding is something positive. You want to uplift people, but a lot of competitors and other famous people, I think they just want to bring the other person down because they want to be number one. So it's a lot of ego in there, and I don't really like that. And I still have the belief that there are good people, of course, and I see that with fighting, that a lot of people have the belief they just want to hurt the other people, but exactly there I think it's the opposite. I really see how if they train together and if they spar together, I think you build a connection with the other person you can't do if you train alone and I want to look better than this guy, and I was the same too back in the day, so sometimes maybe my ego still wants that, but I realize that more. You only grow if you learn from others, if you always have that student mindset, and if you lift others up. I think that's the true way of fulfillment, because at the end of the day we just all want to be better, and why not help the others? Because if you help the other people, they get better, you get better, and if you have better competition, then you grow even better. So I think that's the antidote to all that ego belief and this ego competition that is in that bodybuilding scene, I believe. But I'm just a fool, that's my opinion, so I'll take it too seriously. Then the second last area is finances. Okay, that's something I completely fucked up. Okay, I set myself as a goal 50k by the end of the year. I ended up with now I think 2k in investments, so mainly in SafeMoon. I'm down 80 to 90%. I've learned my lessons, so diamond hands, whatever comes, is not always the best options. You have to take profits in good times. So I've missed out now on 28k in total I could have if I took profits at the high last year in November, but I think that's something I needed to go through. I had no ideas about finances, about investing, so I completely throw myself into it, failed, but that's how I learn. I need to get fully into it, fall on my face, and then get up again. That's something I realized with finances even too. It's bad because I missed out on Qatar, because I wanted to go to the World Cup, record that. That would be something I really wanted to do, but it's okay. It was my lesson I've learned, and now I just need to hold on. Maybe if I have the money, buy more, but actually I'm just holding, and I still believe SafeMoon will succeed. I still believe that, especially now with the exchanges that go pretty much down, like FTX, maybe even Binance, who knows, Voyager and all that stuff. So I still believe if SafeMoon does the things right in the future, then it can be successful, but we have to see. So it's okay if it fails. I was ready for that. The moment I invested my money, I always said if it goes to zero, then it's okay, because I want either zero or moon and nothing else between. But that's something I take with humor, and I think you need things where you're fucked up, you need to take them with humor, because that's something why I think religion help. If you believe in a God, then you know we are just stupid human beings, and most of the decisions are taken by God because our little minds aren't wise enough. Maybe I should learn more from people that are better with finances in the future. That's something I still need to consider. Okay, last area, and then that long video comes to an end, and that's traveling. And I had a really nice experience in Morocco. I really learned how Muslims live, and I really enjoyed the trip and also the people. And I really believe Muslim people are pretty good people, pretty nice people. And that's something that the European media projects otherwise. And I really began to be a fan of Muslim culture. I always was a fan a little bit of that. I always understood why Muslim people don't eat pig or pork, why they don't drink alcohol, because I realized how much problems alcohol produces, also with my family history and all that stuff. So therefore I'm really considering to reduce my alcohol intake massively the next year. Also, I don't really agree with all the principles they have, especially with women rights and that stuff, but I think they're better off than we now, our Western society, because with that far left movements and extreme feminism, I think it goes out of order and we have chaos, and religion makes more order. So therefore I believe the Muslim people, they're better off probably than we are. That you see pretty much in sports, I believe. You see the best footballers, they are pretty religious, like Messi, Mbappe, or even Benzema, and you saw it with Morocco. They even placed 4th in the World Cup as a not so strong nation with players and that stuff. So you see how much spirit is important in life, and I think football projected that this year perfectly. So that was the only trip I had this year, I believe. Just let me think. Yeah, otherwise just small trips, but nothing so important. But Morocco was a big lesson. It also was my small breakthrough on YouTube, so that's pretty cool. In terms of traveling next year, I still haven't made up my mind what I want to do there. Barcelona would be nice, of course, but that's something that is not fully in my control, because I don't know how the markets will turn out next year, if crypto rises again, what Safe produces or not. I haven't had plans to change my jobs in order to earn more, because I love my job, I love the people around there, and I love the time that it gives me, because for me freedom is more important than money or a job where I have more influence, because I have my mission. I have my mission with YouTube, with MMA, and I don't need another job where I level up there because I found my things. If you understand me, I just need a job that provides me with enough money and with time so that I can pursue those things. But okay, but I think that's it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you can take anything from that. So nothing special, no special goals, because most of the goals are not in my hand. They are had external, so I don't want to really focus so much on that. I focus more on the internal, because I think if I have the internal mindset and the internal things right, then external things will come my way. That's what I believe. But the main external goals probably are the 10,000 subs on YouTube and winning my first MMA competition. I forgot to say that. So I think that's enough. I don't really want material things. I'm not such a car enthusiast or material thing enthusiast. So yeah, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope we see us in the next one, if everything goes well. And that's probably the start of my MMA pursuit. So see you there.